you just started to play Eternal Return, or maybe are someone that has played a ton in the past, but the character you used to love got changed and plays differently now, so you're looking for a new main? Choosing a main is always hard in every game, but luckily for you, you are at the right place, because today I will show you 3 very effective ways to find a main in Eternal Return. Currently there are over 60 different characters in Eternal Return. That is a lot. If you look at other games, there are only a handful of characters and even less are competitively viable. But in ER, most of the characters are viable in some way or the other. Sure, games like League have over 160 characters, but most of the time only a very limited amount of champions are competitively viable. Even when you look at fighting games, there are only a few characters and a lot fewer that are actually viable. But enough talking. The first way to find a main is very simple and surprisingly effective. You look at the characters and pick whoever you think looks cool. People always try to look for fitting playstyles or similar kits, but the reality is that it can be just as simple as, wow, that combo looked sick, I want to do that. That is actually how I started out with VR. I used to watch a lot of others doing hedging combos, and I thought that it looked really cool, so I picked her up, practiced, and got pretty good at it. Speaking of practicing, you can try out any character you want by going to them in your collection and pressing the try out character button. This will put you in the practice tool where you can test skills and combos. If you're a few A-coins away from the character you want to buy, then use coupon code NEWPLAYERBOOST to get some A-coins. Okay, let's say you looked at the cast and you found a lot of characters that you are interested in, or you already know what type of character you want. Well, then the best way to find a main is looking at the different roles. Currently there are 3 main roles in Eternal Return: carries, supports, and tanks. I decided to split it into 6 different categories sorted by difficulty. The first 2 are ranged carries. Generally, auto-attack based characters are a lot easier than characters that use their skills. That being said, if you just started out, you should probably not pick up Chloe. Chloe is a puppet character, which means you have to control 2 characters at the same time. This is very difficult, and if you already have trouble learning the game, then you shouldn't try to make it even harder by playing that character. The same can be said for ability-based characters. The bottom row is fairly simple, while the top row is a bit more difficult, but you can still play whoever you want. Just stay away from the first 3 characters. These are very APM heavy characters that can only perform well if you know what you're doing and have a ton of practice with them. There are a good amount of top players that have tried to play these characters and really struggle. So if you're new, just don't, unless you want to have a hard time. Moving on to the support section. Every character in here has a way to assist their teammates by providing a ton of utility. It might be healing your team like Johan does, giving them movement speed boosts and shields like Priya, or a ton of poke and CC like Tia. A lot of these characters can also slip into different roles. Adina, Tia and Sylvia can all be played to either be a support or an ability-based carry. Meanwhile, Xiukai, Irem and Mai can be built to be more of a tank than a support. The important note here is that Adina is a lot harder than all the other characters. Everyone in this category is fairly easy to play, but Adina requires a lot of time. She's honestly on the same level as Chloe, Laura, Celine and Zahir. Frontline tanks are pretty simple. They tank a lot of damage and keep their backline safe. Or they dive in and disrupt the enemy. All characters in here are pretty easy, so pick whoever you like. The characters on the left are more for people that like to jump on the enemy, while the ones on the right are better to protect their backline. But every tank can do both. Frontline fighters are your classic bruisers. They can take a beating but also dish it out. They like to protect their backline by threatening the enemy backline. After all, the best defense is a good offense. A ton of these can be built to fit the team you currently have. If you have no carry, then you can build Squishy and become the carry. Or if your team has no tank, then you can build them tanky. They usually also have pretty simple kits, so they are great characters to start with. Assassins are pretty self-explanatory. Their main goal is to get into the backline and destroy the enemy carry. Important here is that you should stay away from Shuichi if you are playing on high ping. Shuichi is a very input heavy character, so ping can limit you massively. Kathy and especially Daniel are a lot easier to pick up. While Kathy consists of skill shots, Daniel only has point and click skills and is considered one of the easiest characters in the game. The final 2 characters are what I consider to be specialists. Both could be in the auto-attack based carry section, but they have such a unique playstyle that I have to put them in their own little section. Alex has to build multiple weapons and switch them in the middle of a fight, making him very difficult to pick up and different from all the other characters. Martina has to stack her passive to become a character. She's not even a real character until she has 8 stacks. And from then on out, she actually turns into a character. So I recommend that new players stay away from these two until they figured out all the basics, since this is very advanced. The final way to find a main is by far the easiest. Just look at the tier list. If you still can't decide between some characters, pick whoever's higher on the tier list. A lot of people don't admit it, but this is the main way people choose characters, and I honestly can't blame them. There's nothing worse than playing a fight better just to lose it because your character is a lower tier than the enemy. Currently we have a pretty good meta, meaning the difference between tiers isn't that big. As a reference, here's the tier list of one of the best players in Korea. As you can see, most characters are on similar level. This might and probably will change in the future, but currently tier doesn't matter that much. I honestly recommend that you find a character that combines all the 3 things I talked about. Ideally, the character you choose fits your role and playstyle, is a high tier, and looks cool. I really hope this guide could help you find that character, or at least point you in the right direction. Let me know in the comments below what your current main is and why you like them so much. I personally started out as a Hedgen main, switched to Rosie, and now I'm one of the best Nadine and Bara players in the West. Anyway, have a great day and good buffs for your main. Bye!